Hello, and welcome to PA 119. Week 1, I'm Krista. I'll be your instructor for the next 10 weeks, and I'm excited to walk through this class with you, Pharmaceutical Management 1. We are in the Cengage book, A Pharmacy Technician, and if you have not ordered your books yet, please go ahead and do so. I am behind the wagon on this as well, just celebrating a holiday weekend and have not got my books ordered. So they are on their way, but thankfully there are 2 chapters that are already recorded in the modules, so make sure to check that out so that you can be right on task with this week's assignments and readings and quizzes. So my job is to lecture a little bit about what is going on this week. And wow, we have a really fun week ahead this coming week. The first and second chapter are our homework assignment, our reading. And the first chapter really talks about the history of pharmacy. It goes way back into the BC times where we're starting to look at where did medicine start and who started it, and going into the Greeks and Egyptians and talking about Hippocrates and knowing who he was, the father of medicine. I love that part of pharmacy. That is what really makes being a pharmacy technician tick for me, is I love to hear that history. And then where have we evolved to today? Where is it that pharmacy has taken us from? If you read in your chapter, here's what you'll read, is that the disease was thought to be something bad, that people did something bad and so they got a disease. Of course, now science proves that different. And so when we use science and we can prescribe medication for these diseases now, it's not all about basically people thinking that other people are bad and that's how they get disease. That's so interesting to me that that's how it all started in the history. So I urge you to read those chapters. And then one of your questions or one of your assignments is to make a timetable. And this is really fun because I would just basically lay it out on a Word document, turn it the horizontal and write when it started in BC, and then go down the list and name each date that there was something neat that happened. So that's what I want to see, is just basically one page on your Word document naming all of those different dates so that you can really stick out. Oh, when was Hippocrates big? And when did he start saying science was something that we need to look at for medicine? And then the second chapter talks a little bit about what are the roles of the pharmacist and what are the roles of the pharmacy technician, and what agencies certify us and what agencies certify pharmacists, and what kind of license they need and what kind of license we need. And so that's really interesting because that helps us govern now and regulate. And so you'll answer a few questions in your assignment from that, which is also under the assignment tab. So make sure that you check that out. What I think is most interesting, though, is a little bit I wanted to talk about was the discussion. The discussion says something about, I don't like the way it's worded. It's like, talk about the advent of pharmaceutical procedure. So to break that down for you, because I don't really like the wording of that, it means what is the evolution of pharmacy on clinical pharmacy, that now it changes our pharmaceutical approach. So, for example, I was just reading an article, and this is what you should do to answer a discussion, is you should go to the internet and find an article where you can then reference it for the question to be answered. And so that's exactly what I did. I went right to Google. I Googled the evolution of clinical pharmacy, and an article popped up. And so I wanted to share that with you, which I think is so neat, that the evolution of pharmacy now is at, they have just signed into law the Affordable Care Act. Well, back in 2010, excuse me. And the act resulted in 16.4 million uninsured Americans gaining health insurance and enrolling in Medicaid coverage and things like that. So what did that mean for a pharmacist role? And what did that mean for a pharmacy tech's role? Well, what that meant was that non-physician providers, such as pharmacists, have to address these care gaps. So if you just put 16.4 million people into the healthcare system, now that everyone has to see a doctor and there's just not enough physicians. And so the pharmacist is really stepping up, taking in a role, maybe answering questions for people who don't want to go to the ER, where they can say, or the emergency care, and say, hey, yes, we can treat this with over the counter, or no, we can't treat this, and so you need to go to the urgent care, which I love that is where it's going, and that they're more clinically minded as a pharmacist, and so they're not just dispensing drugs, but they give advice just like a physician would. And so then, of course, we are going to step in that gap as pharmacy technicians. And what does that mean for us is that we are a lot behind the counter and we are the leaders. And I love that. So I can't wait to expand on that later in other chapters. So we will just stop there for now. Chapter 1 and 2, remember this week, answer your 8 assignment questions. Discussion is due by Wednesday. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, text me, call me. I'll get back with you within the day. Hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.